And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to 1,000 Mile Coffee. You're riding along with David.
I'm Jason. We got Fluffy back with us again today. Which we told you we was, because we're going to do this is part 2 of his accident. Now, what you said that as soon as Mama found out, she got on a plane and flew straight out there.
She did.
How did your family find out? Did the company call them or did the police call them?
The company actually called. The odd thing is I remember everything about the accident. The only time that I was unconscious and don't remember anything is when they put me out for surgery. Don't know how long I was down, but I know that was the only time period. I don't remember anything, but
okay.
I was lucky enough. In fact, it was a blessing. There had to have been guardian angels flying along with me, because the guy that was right behind me was a first responder from, I want to say he was from Utah or Nevada. And the couple that was right behind him was a lady and her husband that were out on their motorcycles making a big long ride from Montana. She was an emergency room nurse. They saw what happened. They were the first ones on scene. They were right there. And I remember him asking me, "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." Are you hurt anywhere? They did their basic checks first.
Right.
Then
you just wanted to holler out and say, "Are you okay?" You just wanted to holler, "No," and a few other words.
Right.
Does it look like I'm okay?
No kidding. But one of the questions I remember him asking me was, "Is there anybody we can call? Do you happen to know a phone number off the top of your head that we can call?" And I rattled off the office number, called them first. And I hope I'm remembering this right, but he called the office. One of the dispatchers took the call, immediately forwarded it up the chain, and then my parents were the first one, because my wife and I, we weren't married at the time, so she was not my emergency contact. In fact, my dad was. And they called my parents first off, and then they called my brothers, and my brothers are the ones that started calling everybody and let them know, because I had forwarded everybody's numbers just for some reason, just in case something happens. Here's such and such's number. Here's another number, so they know who to call, who to try to get a hold of. And what I understand, they called Sasquatch first, and then he kind of got the phone tree going, and that's when David, your brother, found out. That's when Wagner found out, and everybody else. So
yeah, that's when he called. Like I said, he called me, and it was real quick. Fluffy's been in an accident. Got to go by, and hung the phone over.
Right. Well, there was a bunch of them up in the yard, and I think Alan was up there, and he went around to everybody telling them that I had been in an accident. Then he beelined for the office to find out if there was any more development on the situation.
Yeah, because I know
everybody else found out too.
I know it left me speechless. Okay, is he like? What do you mean an accident? What is this? Well, I had so many questions, and then I couldn't get nobody on the phone, so I was kind of anyway.
And y'all look, and I'm doing 150 miles an hour in a straight line over the Sawtooth Mountains out there in northern Nevada.
Right, and that's when I knew. I think I had Mark on the phone with me at the time. Pretty sure it was Mark, and I was looking, and I said, "Bud, he's in a helicopter." They're life flighting him out of there. But
what everybody told me, said, "Man, you had to have been in a bird." I said, "I was."
Right.
I was.
Now, go ahead, David. I'm sorry.
Now, here's the thing. I remember you saying, because now I want to ask this one question, because I had my mother on the show a couple weeks back, and I wanted to ask this as your experience, because you had 2 major medical accidents within a year of each other.
Yes.
Because you had your diabetic scare, and then what was it? Yeah, you had.
Well, it was actually 3, because I was hit with sleep apnea in 2015. The diabetic thing happened in 2016, and then the accident happened in August of 17.
Good God, man!
Well, I didn't know about the sleep apnea part. I just knew about the accident and the diabetic, and then the accident were within a year of each other, and it's just this. It was the simple fact that your mother had gotten the phone call twice now that your son's in the hospital, and we'll let you know when we know more.
Oh yeah. My family calls me AP, short for accident prone. But
yeah, I'm just wondering,
they're not wrong.
I was wondering, how difficult was it for you to talk your mother into letting you get back into a semi?
Well, after I got home, what's home now in North Carolina, because my wife, she looked at me, and like I said, we were dating at the time, and she had a house over in Western North Carolina that she was renting from a very, very awesome set of people who live there, and that guy is in a wheelchair, so the house was wheelchair accessible. It was handicap accessible, and because of that fact, she looked at me and she said, "You're coming home with me. You're not going to your mom and dad's house again, because there's 19 steps going from my old bedroom upstairs to the living room in mom and dad's house." And me with a busted leg and then a cast from my hip to my ankle for all that time, there 19 steps, no way.
Right, there ain't no way you could have. Ain't no way you could have done that. You'd have been sleeping on the couch.
Right. So therein, I've also told the story about how I got from South Carolina to North Carolina, is because it was the best thing at the time to make it easier on me. Yeah,
didn't the company buy a van for you to get home in, or rent a van or something like that?
They did. They actually, there was a lot of factors in that. They were actually going to send out a Chevy Cavalier to Utah for us to take back to North Carolina, and from Salt Lake City to Western North Carolina is a long way, and in a ancient Cavalier, along with all the stuff that we had accumulated and all the stuff that they had cleaned out of the wreck and boxed up, wasn't going to work. And they weren't about to send their van out there that they use on the yard. So they went and bought a Chrysler minivan, put it on a trailer, because that's what they do, specialize in vehicle transport. They put it on a trailer and sent it right to the front door of the hospital I was in.
You know, and I'm gonna say this too. Even if you hadn't had anything to take back with you, I guess would be the best way to say it. Yeah. People of our size getting in a Cavalier, it ain't fun. Especially riding for that long.
Oh,
and, you know, I had a 99 Cavalier. It was my grandfather's. I got it from him. Transmission was slipping on it. Did some work there. I ended up selling it to David because I got to where I didn't need it, and he needed an extra car. That's a whole nother story. But it was uncomfortable for me to get in that car and drive 15 minutes down the road to work. I can only imagine driving that far. No.
Well, and not only that, it was my wife's first cross-country trip in a vehicle. She had flown across country before, but never driven.
Right.
And just getting out of the hospital and everything, I was sleeping a lot on the way home. So there was a lot of prayer involved in her getting from Utah to North Carolina, basically by herself for most of the trip, because I was sleeping.
Right. Well, I mean, you were doped up on pain meds, and that stuff makes you sleepy.
That too. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, so basically what you're telling us there, though, you didn't have to convince your mom to let you go back in the truck. You just did it.
I did it.
I was going to say, David, Matt is of the ancient time period as well, just like most of our friends, ironically. We don't ask.
Still not as old as Mark.
But I don't think anybody's as old as Mark.
Well, I mean, Mark was on the dirt naming committee, so
right. He helped found what dirt was and name it.
Yeah,
he remembers back when NHRA was charity races.
It was what? You broke up. Say that again.
I said he remembers when NHRA started as charity races.
Good God. Oh man. All right, but I forgot what I was going to say now.
No, but when it come to Mom, more or less letting me back in the truck, it really wasn't a question. It was kind of a, just it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission kind of thing. And I mean, technically, it went at the time of the wreck. I was still living at home. Granted, I was in my mid-30s and had been through some hard times in my life, a couple divorces and that kind of thing, which forced me to move back there. Because driving a truck over the road and being gone 3 or 4 months at a time, it doesn't make sense to get your own place.
Kind of the boat I'm in, where I run 2-3 weeks at a time, and there's no point in getting an apartment or a place for you to see it, 4 or 5 days out, maybe 4 days out of a month.
Yeah, get you a $600-700 apartment to spend 4 days a month in. It's pointless.
Right.
Exactly.
And and I talked to my dad about it, and he's like, you know what, just come on back home. The only stipulation is help with the bills, and don't forget that you live under my roof. Which fine, I respect him for that.
Right,
I'll follow his rules and that
his
kind
house,
of thing.
his rules. That's just common respect.
Absolutely. So that's how those shenanigans kind of played out a little bit.
Well, essentially the company, from what I gathered or from what I can remember from the accident, that company took really, really good care of you.
They really, really did. They really, really did. On top of the van, once I got home, they let us keep the van for another. Lord, we got home in October, and they didn't come get it until 6 more months after I got home, and was still going through physical therapy and doctor's appointments and everything else. That van was really easy for me to get in and out of.
Yeah, because the van was easier for you, like you just said. The van was easier to get in and out of because at the time you owned a 4-wheel drive F-150.
I did. Yep. It's lifted a little bit, that kind of thing, and it's still difficult. And it was my left leg that was hurt, and I had an automatic vehicle, which they told me I couldn't drive until whenever, but I said, bump that. I got home in October and I was driving in November. So
yeah, I remember back then it was, I did that run. What was it? Everything. I think 2 or 3 weeks. I was going to Nashville, and I'd always stop there at the little Chevron station there at exit 24 in the Gorge. And you'd come up there. I'd pull my 30-minute break. We'd hang out, and then down the road we'd go. I miss that every time I go past that. Say what?
You and David were always the two, or one of the two of them that always called just to check.
Right.
How you feeling today, that kind of thing.
I can remember, man, or I still, to this day, if I'm running through hit the mic. If I run through the Gorge, I pass exit 24, I'm like, man, I need to call him. Just because that's where, it was, like I said, it was every 2 or 3 weeks,
I should call him.
Right.
I should call her.
If you had her to call, then that might be good.
Right.
Yeah, the motorcycles haven't really learned how to talk on the cell phone yet. So, all
right. Well, we appreciate it, Mike. We're gonna wrap it up. Yeah. We're gonna wrap it up right there on the whole accident deal.
Oh yeah.
But I do want to add to anybody looking to get into this. This is something that could happen at any point in time. You can't control, no matter how safe of a driver you are, you can't control what other people do. Just like you couldn't control what the woman in that truck did. But you need to memorize phone numbers and have an ICE set up, in case of emergency, just in case you didn't know what the acronym was. But have an ICE set up with friends, family, your workplace, just in case something happens. There's no question. Everything can be done. In my phone, underneath my wife's name, I've got her name there, and then off to the side it says ICE. So if something was to happen to me, they get my phone, they can see that we need to call this person.
And for people that are in school and people that may not know, ICE is in case of emergency.
Right. So. Right. Well, we appreciate it, Matt. We gonna.
Ain't no problem. No problem.
We're gonna stop the episode right here, and we'll have you on another time. Just sit around
That's
bullshit.
Fine, man. I'm just gonna roll down the road and turn a few more miles, man.
Do what you got to do, brother.
I'm doing it.
Let's see if David can get it right this time.
And as always, thank you all for turning He still
missed it.
I give up. You do it. Thank you all for tuning in to 1,000 Mile Coffee. As always, we like to thank you all for listening in, and
everybody stay safe. Keep it greasy side down.